Microsoft Word has three often overlooked voice features that can not only make your work easier, but they're very good accessibility options. So let's take a look at those today. We're going to start in the home ribbon in Word and then go all the way to the right-hand side of the screen for the voice section. And here you'll see the option for dictate. If you click the drop-down, you'll see that there are actually two options here, dictate and transcribe. When you select dictate, it will turn on your microphone and type the words that you are saying as you are speaking. One of the things to be aware of is if you have a long pause, Microsoft will turn off the microphone in order to conserve resources. Now let's take a look at the settings for dictate so that you can customize them a little bit. On the dictate bar that appears, you see the little settings icon, and you start with the spoken language, which follows the language that you use in your Microsoft applications. So mine is automatically set to English United States because that's where I'm from. At the top, you have a list of supported languages, and then below you have several preview languages. Now, they're considered to be in preview because their accuracy isn't fully vetted. The next option down is to select your microphone. Now, this would be important if you're like me and I have multiple microphones available. And then next we have auto punctuation, and this is helpful so that I don't have to have long run-on sentences and go back and add the periods and the commas later. You can also choose to filter sensitive phrases. If you say something that could be considered profane, it will put in asterisk marks instead. Once you've set up your preferences, all you have to do is click Save. You can use your voice for some basic commands while you are dictating. For example, if you want to jump down to the next line, all you have to do is say New Line. Notice that my cursor has moved without me using my mouse or keyboard at all. You can also use commands with some basic editing. For example, I don't think I said that very well. So I would say undo. And notice that that whole sentence went away. You also have some basic formatting that you can use. Now, some people say that if you go to the end of the sentence and then you want to bold a word within that sentence, you would say bold and the word that you want to apply that formatting to. However, I have noticed that Word is more accurate if I say bold before the word that I want to bold. For example, let's say I want everybody to submit their status reports on Friday at close of business. The way that I would dictate that would be, everybody please submit their status report, bold, Friday, close of business. Stop bold. It can take a little bit of practice to get used to speaking the command in the middle of your sentence. The next thing I want to show you is how to use some basic paragraph formatting options. Now, if you don't know exactly how to phrase the voice command, the thing that I've noticed is if I hover my mouse over the one that I want to use, the description in the tooltip is often the same as the voice command. So for example, the bullet list can be activated by saying, create a bullet list. New paragraph, create a bullet list. So now I'm just going to quickly pretend to create a few bullets, and then on the third one, I am going to ask for an indent to create a sub-bullet. Now, I'll admit at first the way to stop the bullet list was a little bit confusing, but here's what I've come up with. I said the command new line and then said backspace 3 times. And the way I figured this out was by paying attention to what I was doing with my keyboard and then testing to see if dictate would follow the same logic. If you want Word to stop dictating, all you have to do is say End Dictate. And notice that the microphone has turned off in the upper right-hand corner. Now let's go back to the voice section on the home ribbon and select the transcribe option. This will allow you to upload an audio file that you already have and transcribe it, or you can start a recording with one or more people. Now, I'd like to draw your attention to the bottom of the transcribe pane. And I want to point out that there is a limit to the number of minutes that will be transcribed. Now, in my case, it's 30,000, but yours may be different, so just pay attention to this number. For this example, I am going to upload the audio from the first half of this video, and Word will begin to transcribe it. Depending on the size of your file, it may take several minutes. Once it's done, you have some options here. First, you can click the play button to listen to the audio. And the second thing I would look at is the transcript is broken down into different timestamps, and next to each one, there is a place for speaker attribution. Now, Word isn't going to know who is speaking in the file. So what you can do is click the little pencil icon to add a name. Now, once you do that, you can choose the check button to change the name for everybody labeled speaker 1. If you have multiple speakers in your audio file, you would repeat these steps until you have given the proper name attribution to each one of the speakers. In this example, I was the only speaker in the file, so I'm going to click the check mark for confirm, and everything that used to say speaker 1 has my name. Let's go down to the bottom of the transcript pane and look at the options to add this information to our Word file. From here, you can choose to just add the text, include the speaker names, include timestamps, or include everything. For this example, I'm just going to add the text. Now, the entire transcript was uploaded as one big block of text, and because it was based on an audio file I uploaded, there's a link where you can listen to it as well. It's important to know that because this transcript is based on an audio file, that the text has a link to the audio file behind it. So if I try to edit it, it will try to open the audio file. So to stop that from happening, first you have to right-click over the text and then click Remove Link. Now you can make any edits that you need to. And for example, one of the things that I like to do is scan the file to make sure that anything that might be a custom industry word or an acronym is not misspelled in my transcript, especially when I'm sharing this information with other people. Now we're going to look at a couple of features that feel like they're hidden, but they're incredibly useful, especially when you're considering accessibility options. The first one is under the Review tab, and that is Read Aloud. You can click on the button, or you can use the hotkey Alt, Control, and Spacebar. What this does is it adds a little tiny toolbar to the screen where you can have Word read the text to you. Let's listen to a quick sample.
When you select Dictate, it will turn on your microphone and type the words that you are saying as you are speaking.
As it's reading to you, it's also highlighting the words so that you can follow along. In the Read Aloud toolbar, there's an icon that's a speaker with the gear settings. This allows you to choose the reading speed and select from a male or female voice. As of right now, those voices are the same ones that you would hear if you have a paid Copilot version that will generate a file summary in the style of a podcast. The next option that feels a little bit hidden is on the View tab, and that's Immersive Reader. This will open up a separate pane where you can adjust the text size and spacing, as well as ask it to read aloud to you. So when I select that option, notice that the words themselves have more spaces between letters, as well as there is extra space between whole words, sentences, and paragraphs. In the toolbar on the left, we have some customization options. For column width, you can choose between very narrow to wide. I personally find moderate easy to read. You can also select a different page color to help the words stand out from the background. Focus line is set to none by default, but you can choose 1, 3, or 5 lines. And when you select that, it highlights just that text where your cursor is, and you can switch to the next section by using the up-down arrows on the right-hand side of the screen. If you don't like all of the space in between the letters and the words, you can click the text spacing button to return it to a standard word and paragraph style. I'm going to switch the text spacing again to make it easier to see the syllables feature. What this basically does is it adds a dot in between each syllable, and this can be especially useful when you're trying to parse longer words. And then we have Read Aloud, which is the same thing as we saw on the Review tab. It's just integrated into the Immersive Reader, so you don't have to switch back and forth when you want to use both. When you're done, click Close Immersive Reader to return to your standard view. So this video started out as a conversation between me and a colleague who was frustrated by not having a dictate option in an app that we both use. So I suggested using dictate in Word as a workaround, and she hadn't even heard of the option in Word at all. Now, as I started digging deeper to help her solve her challenge, I realized that there was a lot more to it that could be useful, such as the formatting options and voice commands, but also Transcribe, Read Aloud, and Immersive Reader. So I'm curious, are you guys using any of these options? And if you are, drop a comment below to share any tips or tricks that you may have. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.